That's 8.
Good morning, directors. Morning to the public that's listening in. Today is 24th April. We are starting the ordinary council meeting at 9 o'clock this morning. All councillors is present here this morning. Before we continue, I would like us to start off our proceedings with a minute of silent prayer. Thank you. Starting now. Amen. Please make sure everybody signs the attendance register. It is circulating. The applications for leave of absence. There's no application for leave of absence. Declaration of interest. Any declaration by any councillors? Councillor Mhlana?
Speaker, good morning, Speaker. Speaker, on item C4/04/04023, there's a company there on the phone that is bearing the name of my great-grandfather. I used to be part of that company. I'm no longer part of that company. And so I just want.
Declaration accepted. Thanks, Councillor. The confirmation of minutes for previous meetings. Minutes of the special council meeting dated 30th of March, 2023. Tanya, can you just help us with the minutes, please?
We start on page 6, page 7, 8, page 9, 8, 11, 12, 13, page 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, page 30, 31, attendance register is 32, 33, and 34, and 35. concludes the minute.
Until page 55. Thank you, Ms. Wilderman. Is that a true reflection of the minutes, councillors? Councillor Nell?
I think I propose to accept the minutes as read.
Proposed by Councillor Nell. Councillor Mitchell?
I think there's something wrong there on page 7. The mayor stated that the decision made is by all three collective as a collective coalition party. You have to make sure is it true that PDC, AUF, and the DA doing all the decisions as a collective.
Sorry, sir. There is a statement from the Executive Mayor. It is his decision to write in his statement.
So it's true, Chair.
And take it up with the Executive Mayor.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mitchell. For that, is that a proposal? The seconder? Seconded by Councillor Olivier. Point 6. The statements and communication by the Executive Mayor and the Speaker. Executive Mayor, is there any communication from your side?
Thank you, Speaker. Yes. Speaker, there are two issues that seem to be the focus of attention for some sectors of our community that I think need some explanation of. One is the current water restrictions that we have in place. We need to know that restrictions are there for periods of water, not only there for periods of water scarcity, but also as a tool to manage and conserve our water use, and is often used as a precautionary manner, and it can also be dictated by operational requirements. So there's not only one trigger that we use to implement water restrictions. Usually a number of determinations need to be considered when we do this. For now, below average rainfall in our region, load shedding, vandalism, as well as aging infrastructure have placed strain on our water supply, the purification, and also the distribution of potable water to the public. The latest seasonal rainfall forecast for the coming periods of April, May, and June this year, according to the SA Weather Service, is poor. One of the triggers or operating directives is related to the Rudderfontein Dam. It's in place and was developed by the Western Cape government during the 2017 drought. This determines water restriction levels according to the dam level. Bitou also does not have sole right to the water that's shared by the Jakobskraal Dairy Farm, and around 4% of Bitou's water actually comes from the Rudderfontein Dam. The main water source for Bitou is the Kibbums River, from which water is extracted. Water is pumped into two balancing reservoirs. From the balancing reservoirs, raw water is conveyed to the Plet water treatment works through the bulk line. So all the pumps and motors at the extraction point are fully functional at the moment. However, during mid-December, the diesel engine of the backup generator broke down, and this is the generator that's used during load shedding to pump the water. The new diesel engine's had to be procured at a cost of 1.2 million rand, and the estimated delivery date for this new engine for the generator is mid-May. So currently, during periods of load shedding, water cannot be extracted from the river. When Eskom power is available, the maximum allowed volume of water is delivered to the Platinum Bay Waterworks for purification. Bitou Municipality endeavours to keep the balancing reservoirs full as per the operating procedure when Eskom is available. So during periods of load shedding, the release of the raw water from the balancing reservoirs is limited by controlling outlet valves to ensure that the bulk transferring water lines don't run dry, because if they run dry, that would be extra maintenance costs. So Bitou also has various boreholes that contribute to water supply. The Curlin boreholes are all functional. However, the boreholes in the Platinum Bay area are not operational, and this is mainly due to ongoing vandalism, and plans are in place to repair those. The fourth water source that we have is our desalination plant. This is not operational for various factors. Parts are being waited on, and once they arrive around mid-May, repairs will start. The desalination plant also extracts water from boreholes in the estuary. A number of these are faulty and need to be replaced. Specialist service provider was appointed through a mechanical and electrical term tender and was tasked to remove the faulty balls and to supply and install new ones to get the plant running. So the official order for this was issued in December last year. It was especially required for corrosive conditions, in other words, salt water, and it's not off the shelf stock. So there's specific material that needs to be imported, and that's what's taking the time. Another issue that is at hand here is to remove and to repair the faulty bore pumps and to install the new pumps. The level of the is required to be a bit lower as well to gain access. So that prevents poses an environmental challenge as well. The speaker has explained here, there are water restrictions in place as a preventative precautionary plan to conserve and not waste the water in our area. I have requested the full report with timelines on the department's plans to have all the above mentioned operational. This report will also be made available at the council meeting next month. Another issue that there seems to be possibly some misunderstanding around in terms of processes is a public participation process that we have in place at the moment around some properties that the municipality is wanting to either sell or to lease. The process that Bitou is following is a standard process, and that is followed if the municipality wants to dispose of any properties. We have to inform the public and we have to obtain the opinion of what our intentions are for each piece of property that we're wanting to dispose of. The process is an open one and it's advertised in the local media. It's not ad hoc off the cuff decisions that are made. This was in fact discussed in council on the 31st of October last year and again on the 31st of January this year, and resulted in 2 council resolutions around this. And it was headed under the heading identification of municipal owned land for development purposes, because the idea is to rather try and use that land to develop and to create employment and to boost the economy. And point number 2 in one of the resolutions clearly states that public comments be invited on the principle of disposable or lease of the above mentioned properties for the purposes outlined in the report. So this is a process that Bitou Municipality is currently busy with. Only once the comments have been evaluated will the report come to council to consider the proposals and to make decisions concerning each piece of land. Any decision made based on the public comments received can only be approved by a majority in council. It is not the decision of 1 or 2 people only. I appeal to the Bitou public to make constructive comments that can be evaluated once the time for comments closes on the 30th of April. And we've actually extended the deadline for this 3 times already to ensure that as many people as possible are given the opportunity to comment. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Mayor. Point 7. There's no presentations. Point 8. It's the items for information which has been dealt with by the executive mayor in terms of delegated authority. Were there any items that you were dealing with, Mayor?
That was
Section 71, yes, as normal. Point 9. The noting of outstanding and partially implemented council resolutions. Any matters under the point 9? Make it all good. Okay. We will then continue to point 10. The portfolio of index and delegated matters. Section 1 under the office of the municipal manager. First item is item C, stroke 1, stroke 143, stroke 04, stroke 23. The audit and performance audit Committee Performance Assessment for 1st July 2022 to 31st December 2022. You would find the item on page 50. The item is now serving. Councillor Nel.
I propose that we take note of this report. I may just point out that the report has shown a very good outcome for the audit committee, and they've done a wonderful job. And the assessment has been really very good. That I propose that we take note of.
We can't hear you, Speaker.
Sorry.
Can't hear you.
COVID is there.
I propose that we take note of the report.
By Councillor Nel.
I thought your intuition was good enough, Mr.
Can't hear him again.
Moved by Councillor Nel.
I second that.
Seconded by Councillor Olafir. Section 2, Finance. First item is item C, stroke 2, stroke 110, stroke 04, stroke 23. The establishment of a special rating area, Nature's Valley. Item is on page 57. Page 57, item is now serving. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I propose that we go with the recommendations.
Councillor Kolowapi.
Before I second, I understand that this rate is for the Nature's Valley people, whereas this whole thing is all about the control of the baboons. And when I notice, even at Dana, Township area, that there, the back of the Dana area, there are still
Right.
that are also controlling. Are they also part of this rate that is changing? Are the citizens of that area also included in the rate changing? Or is it only the Nature's Valley? Or is it a one kind of the thing along the coast? Or what, just for interest sake?
Still on the floor, I will give you. Emil, can you just explain?
Thank you, Speaker. It's only for Nature's Valley because they applied specifically, we have to apply as an area to apply and then we do public participation, then it comes back and then. So it's only for Nature's Valley, so they will pay an additional amount. I can't recall the amount that they will pay. 30 rand.
Yeah.
They will pay, so 330, yeah. 30 rand is on the west now. 300 rand additionally to what their normal rates are. Will then keep that money and then they will submit their business plan, what they want to do with that money. So it will include things like, for example, the indicated baboon control, additional maintenance that they want to do. So they, on this other side, they have not applied for that special rating.
Who's paying for that? Those extra people that are there. The follow-up question, because we can see that there are other people that are managing there. Who's paying those people that are doing that same job that we thought would be included in the rates?
We pay for baboon monitoring in all the areas. The municipality is paying through EPWP program. But Nature's Valley, not only baboon monitoring, they want to do other things which they feel the municipality is not doing sufficiently. They want to do it on their own, at their own cost.
Councillor Kolowapi,
I'm okay if it's something that is done even from us.
I take it that you are seconding.
Yes, I'm seconding.
Next item, item C, stroke 2, stroke 113, stroke 04, stroke 23. The mid-year adjustment budget outcome letter 2022 to 2023 for the Bitou Municipality. The item is on page 88. Page 88, the item is now serving. Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to propose that we go with the recommendation. I'd also just like the CFO just to give an explanation for everyone's benefit so that you can understand what this actually deals with and what the status is with our budget.
Councillor. CFO, there's a request. Do you want to go before this?
Yeah. Before the official.
Sabai. Sabai.
Speaker, I read this item with shock. First of all, Speaker, I want to the official, especially the CFO, to clarify to this council what happened, why was there why was our adjustment budget rejected? I just wanted a follow-up question.
On your follow-up first, it's Executive Mayor's question. And then there's another question from Councillor Tabai, CFO. Can you respond, please? Councillor Sethi, do you want to go first?
Yes, thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I think I need a clarity on this one. First and foremost, what was the procedure of the adjustment budget? Because in my logical thinking, it was supposed to be taken to the provincial treasury, then come back to the council to be approved. And also, I don't see the involvement of the ward councillors when doing this adjustment budget. I think as ward councillors should be part, because we are representing wards. And then also, I don't see anything that is going back to our wards as a development or programs. I'm worried about that because there is totally no programs that is going to our wards. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sethi, there's 3 questions. First, the CFO, the first 2 matters, then at the later stage of Councillor Sethi's questions, the MM will respond. CFO.
Yes, Speaker. I just want to get to the right page. So in terms of process, firstly, after the mid-year budget and performance assessment, a decision is made by council to say yes, an adjustment budget may be necessary. After considering all the financial information that led up to the mid-year, council then decided that an adjustment budget would be necessary. So we had to adjust the budget figures because it was clear certain of the revenue items were over budgeted and certain of the expenditure items, such as the ones that we pointed out, fuel expenditure, for instance, was under budgeted by 7.2 million. Bulk purchases was under budgeted by 12 million. And other small items were also under budgeted. So we had to adjust that because that is what the municipal budget and reporting regulations allow us to do. Then a further principle that goes into this budget, the adjustment budget is not to change priorities. It is to expedite programs already budgeted originally or slow them down when it is certain that those projects will not be met, and roll over the money to the next financial year. And so we did not come up with new projects. Unless grant funding is received for a specific purpose that is brought into the budget. That is in process, what we do. Then what we did is we went to, it is a departmental consideration mainly with some input from council as well, because the reality is already sketched in the assessment report. What we did is we consolidated all the information, took into account underperforming expenditure, overperforming expenditure, and as well as the revenue that is underperforming, and we came up with a consolidated new budget figure. And this budget figure, when you compare this with the original budget, originally, the net surplus was budgeted at 51.9 million. This includes depreciation, provision for bad debt.
Speaker.
I will be with you now, Councillor.
I'm trying to get to the point.
Okay.
No, Speaker, I wanted to raise that. He is going far. We need straightforward answers.
I'm coming to the answer.
Can I just let the CFO finish, Councillor?
Because he's wasting time.
Thank you. Speaker, so originally there was a surplus before capital contributions. When we adjusted all these items, the revenue expenditure, there was no longer a surplus before capital contributions, but there was a surplus after capital contributions, which means the bottom line of the budget here that still reflects a net surplus, not a deficit, which means that it is funded. What the province does in their response to us is they're saying it is unfunded because they look at the surplus or the deficit before the capital contributions. Furthermore, the province cannot approve our budget. It is not submitted to the province for approval. It is merely submitted to them for oversight. They cannot approve our budget. Council approves the budget. Council approved the budget, it was sent then to them to the budget analysis section. So there was nothing that they disapproved in this budget. That is the point I want to get to. So when the province makes their analysis, it may differ from our analysis and opinion. But their opinion was based on the surplus or the deficit before capital contributions. At the bottom line of the budget, it is still funded.
Thank you, CFO. Let me just let just cover Councillor Shetty's part.
No, Chair, without repeating everything, the first one was the Executive Mayor requested the CFO to take councillors through, and then Councillor Tabai came, and then Councillor Shetty. So the province did not reject the budget because they cannot, so they do their oversight role in terms of our budget process. So that is their oversight in terms of the analysis that they've done. But coming to Councillor Shetty, I think Felix has covered that as well. Because council in January made an assessment that in terms of the first 6 months performance, council has to do an adjustment budget from the first 6 months. That was a council decision that was tabled in January because of underperformance, and is provided in the legislation in terms of underperformance on revenue collection, or as Felix indicated, additional money that may have become available through grant funding. After that, then the adjustment budget was then tabled in council and discussed with councillors. But the adjustment budget, you don't create new projects. You continue with the projects that you had in the original budget. All that you do, you shift them if they are not performing from this year. If they are not going to be delivered this year, shift them slightly, and then to be in the year to come. That's all that you do. You don't create new projects. You then shift the money to the projects that are performing very well. And I think that is what maybe council needs to understand, but because also going forward is very important when we table an adjustment budget, and council understand which projects are performing very well. Then you shift that money to complete that project within that year instead of 2 years.
Thanks, Councillor Tabai. Do you want to follow up, Councillor Shetty? Councillor Tabai, then Councillor Shetty for follow-up.
Thank you, Speaker. But Speaker, out there's a letter that says our draft adjustment budget or adjustment budget was rejected as unfunded. They are not funded, but when something is saying unfunded, another Speaker, I think municipalities work with provincial and national trusts, especially provincial trusts. Did they do a dry run that this is the format of our adjustment budget? Look at it. And then it comes back. Maybe they will say things in that adjustment budget of yours. I want to know, did the municipality do that? Secondly, Speaker, did we lose grant funding of 2.4 million? That's the second question. And looking at why our adjustment budget was rejected by Provincial Treasury. It was rejected on the purposes of fuel. Go to New Horizon, the licensing unit there. If there is load shedding there, there's no way. I don't know whether people know that. There is no work if there is load shedding. Critical areas that are service delivery related issues are not catered for. Yet, if fuel rose up, there's a generator here at the buildings. Minimal service delivery that is happening in this building. Employee costs. That is what is said. It's said by the Provincial Treasurer that you raised employee costs. We're going to make an example about law enforcement. We are militarizing law enforcement. Our law enforcement doesn't look or take care of bylaws anymore now. They are policemen. We know that they are called in New Horizon by senior politicians as if they are police. That is one part of why there are employee costs. Bulk purchases of electricity. That is why our people always cry foul about this municipality. That seriously, we can't, whereas we are poor and pay so much on electricity. So those are the things that Provincial Treasurer came with. And on the latter part, they said the others were reduced. And you increased on fuel, you increased on employee costs, you increased on bulk purchases of electricity. So I want clarity, Speaker, and answers, especially the one of 2.4 million grant.
Thank you. Before you go, Councillor Tabai, just to inform you, you have exceeded your 5 minutes. You have spoken to this item, done on this item. You have exceeded your time.
No, I'm not going.
No, you have exceeded your time, Councillor. You have your chance for this item.
You must not stifle debate here, especially when it talks about service delivery.
5 minutes. You have spoken to the item. You allowed your follow-up. You are done on this item. You have exceeded your 5 minutes.
You were supposed not to even tell me that, man.
Okay. Speaker, can you just explain this part for us?
Can I ask Tanya to first put the letter of Provincial Treasury on the screen? It's Annexure A. Let's quickly deal with the context of this letter, and I would want to limit myself to the context of the letter and not deal with anything else.
Sorry. No, I didn't go. I just wanted to make sure, was that your hand, Councillor?
Oh, no.
No, let me just find out by Councillor Sethi what if follow up.
I can wait.
Okay, thank you. I had to, and then I think I must say I'm covered, but I also wanted to touch base on the agenda. When I'm looking on the agenda and all the items, it makes me worried because it is not speaking to the developments. I'm saying it again. I just want to stress it out here that we don't see any developments for our wards. I'm worried about that. We need to see developments like projects in our wards. But I didn't find anything in this agenda, and I always not find anything in the agendas. So I'm begging this councillor to take us serious because we are representing wards. We are when we are going out there, people are asking questions. We want this, but they are not getting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Sethi. And then Councillor Kamkam.
President, thank you. Chairperson, let me first start with the context of this letter and the legislation. And I'm not going to repeat the legislation. Provincial Treasury does oversight role as an external body. Council does oversight role as an internal body. Internal audit does oversight role as an internal body. Audit committee does oversight role. Now, context first is that this adjustment budget passed through this council. Council exercised its oversight role in February and passed this adjustment budget. Then provincial treasury done assesses as an external body. Now, on 1, 2, 3, paragraph 3, it indicates the role of provincial treasurer. A high level of assessment was conducted of your adjustment budget in Annexure A. That is the role of provincial treasurer. Then provincial treasurer said, based on their assessment, the adjustment budget is unfunded. Felix, I'm not sure if you will have an A or B schedule somewhere that you can open, because this is something that we need to show people instead of explaining it. In the budgeting schedule, as you would have seen in this report of provincial treasurer, from the beginning, it says that Regulation 21 of the MBRRR, which is the Municipal Budget and Reporting Regulation, an adjustment budget and supporting document must be in a specified format, which is a Schedule B. Now, in the Schedule B, you've got your, what you call your total income, then total expenditure. What provincial treasury assesses is total income minus total expenditure. And they find that part, that there's a deficit. But in terms of the reporting framework, which is the reporting framework that is gazetted by National Treasury, your income of grant funding for capital project is not included on that first part of income. It's included as part below as capital contribution. If you do find it, please just show a hand so that we can just show it, even if it's on February 1. So what you then do, you say income minus expenditure, then you add that income. So that is why the CFO is saying that the budget is funded if you take into account capital contribution, because it's grant funding that you are getting that you're going to spend on capital project. However, the principal matter here is, and this is what the assessment is, between your income and expenditure, you should try and strive for a surplus already at that time. Because once you have that surplus, then you are building up for your accumulated reserve in future to develop capital project on your own money without depending on grant funding. That is what National Treasury is, Provincial Treasury is cautioning the municipality in terms of that. So there is no definitive legislation that says that it must be funded from income and expenditure. It's good practice, which we support, but in this budget, that is the difference between the two of that. The issue of the 2.5 million grant funding, have we lost grant funding? The answer is definitely yes. We've lost grant funding on water. Visa. I was trying the English word, water service infrastructure grant. We've lost 2.5 million because we are behind in terms of the project. I've asked the PMU section to write a report that must come to Section 80 committee meeting in the coming month, and it must come to council to explain why we lost the money. Further to that, I'm engaging National Treasury because we submitted to COPTA as well as VISEC, Department of Water Affairs. They supported our submission that National Treasury must not take the money. But however, the decision to take the money for slow spending does not reside with COPTA or Water Affairs or Labour or any other department. That decision resides with National Treasury. So I'm engaging with National Treasury because of the type of the project. Then the last two issues, one is the employee cost. The employee cost, according to this letter, it is covered there, Tanya. It states that we have increased employee cost by 2.8 million due to additional standby. We have explained the issue of standby because if there's load shedding, then it means our staff members will then have to go and switch on the generators in other sites and be on standby to be available to do that. So that is one of the reasons that has actually caused this. And this is not only
isolation matter in Bitou Municipality. Load shedding has caused that we then increased our standby and overtime matter. So we had to increase employee-related costs in terms of that. But in terms of total percentage of employee cost, I'm confident that we'll finish the year just below. If you look at the 1371 report, we are slightly behind in terms of spending, but it was only these items that we had to increase. I think that's what I wanted to explain in terms of this letter of they do their assessment in terms of oversight, and again, it does not mean, Speaker, that they are rejecting. They are alerting us in terms of their oversight on areas that we have to look at. Did you find is that the one? Okay. The closing, Speaker, this is what I wanted to explain quickly, if I may, through you go and stand there. Continue. So you will see the schedules. This is the total revenue generated by the municipality, the original budget, then the adjustment budget. See the original budget was 832, and then 805, which means you a surplus of 7.2. Again, here is the so 855 versus 855 because of the line items that were actually increased. You will see employee costs only increased by 832, not less than $1 million. So then there's other items which the CFO has indicated that we correctly budgeted investment. But here's what I'm talking about. This is income in terms of transfers and subsidies capital. So it's your capital grant funding that is coming in, which you recognize as income. In this part, you don't recognize it as part of the income. So your deficit of 50 million income and expenditure will then reduced by this amount, you then have a surplus. The key issue that the provincial treasury is raising is that this surplus here supposed to be a surplus if you want to build for future capital investment reserves, which is the draft budget that we take. But this you cannot achieve for 1 year if the municipality was in a situation of a financial difficulty. So that is where provincial treasury is saying that from here, because this is a grant funding. They are trying to say to the municipalities, avoid being reliant on grant, but you have to take into account that grant funding is going to be spent on projects, because the issue here in closing, the expenditure of that grant funding is included on the expenditure side, and the income side part of it is not included on top. On the income is included at the top. It's just a reporting framework that has been formatted by the National Treasury. So that's a difference, because if you exclude that amount of 50 million on the grant funding where it is now, then you have to deduct that money again on the expenditure side, which is part of it is included in the expenditure side. I think we can all of those things. So thanks, Speaker.
Councillor Kamkam and then Councillor Manwaba.
Thank you,
Speaker.
Speaker.
My question is not answered. It's not a question. So I don't know whether I must not speak.
So you had your chance to speak to this item.
Which ones have missed?
I would just want to go to that now. Can you just repeat? No, you're not going to speak. I want to ask you to repeat the question that you feel. Repeat.
The issue of
No, I will answer personally on that one. I wanted to go.
I said I want
of grant funding and also
Grant funding has been covered.
the issue of unfunded. We need a clear answer. Is this?
No, sir, Councillor. No, we have it. We have your one. Don't go too deep into it. We have the second one. The new horizon one, I will answer myself, because I'm there and I will answer it myself.
The unfunded is not a bad thing. It's not financially wise to sit with the deficit between your income and expenditure, because all that it says, you are not building sufficient reserve going for the future. But it does not mean it's a bad thing. we could say in terms of best practice, it's not the right thing that you must have that income. But we've explained to National Treasurer, to Provincial Treasurer, what are the elements of expenditure that has caused that expenditure to be increased in terms of the expenditure. So it's not a reflection of a bad that the municipality has performed bad. It's a reflection that you're not going to be able to have sufficient money that you build for your reserves.
Grant funding is not a bad thing, is it not?
Councillor, no. You've received your answer. You've received your answer. Amen. Can we stop? You've received your answer.
2.5, we have lost the 2.5. And then I said that I've asked for the report, so I've stopped there. If Councillor want me to respond,
it will come into the next section 80.
It's a bad thing. So, but I've asked for the report to come in terms of that.
Amen. Thank you. It will come into the next section 80. Councillor, come. Councillor. No. Let me first answer the councillor here. Councillor, I think I'm going to ask you in future, when it comes to your horizon, to refrain from making statements that is not true. You're continuously doing it. I don't know for what reasons, but I must tell you, I have no danger in your horizon. Me, myself, as a senior politician, doesn't even call them. Because my people there, I can work day and night, no matter the what. During my working hours, I do my job sufficiently. On the weekends, we make use of the crime prevention groups in our community, and we can recall. You can request through the customer care and their reports. How many times does the community of New Horizon request law enforcement or call for them? So in closure, I'm asking you, refrain from making statements that is not true. We have sufficient crime groups in our community that is doing duty day and night. I think we were mostly successful in courting the cable thieves regularly. If you are said you are being called for safety, you said, but no. Don't change your things. Don't change your things. That is administrative. I'm answering you now nicely. So that's my answer on your question. Can we go to Councillor Kamkam? I've made a ruling. Thank you.
Get back to the adjustment, the comments on the adjustment budget.
Councillor Kamkam is on the floor, councillors.
Speaker, also what is highlighted by the provincial. No. This is only highlighted in our reports and also prior to us accepting the adjustment. Some of these things were pointed out. Let me start with for instance, the number one, the adjustment that we had to do as a result of the rebate. That was explained to us. Also, we are all aware of the problems with our employee costs. We are all aware with the problems with our collection rate. As a council, we also adopted a financial recovery plan because we were aware that we had financial difficulty. So some of these comments, it's not new. It is things that we were aware of. So we can go back to the recommendations. The recommendations say that we must take note of the outcome letter. Number two, the council take note of the remedial actions implemented and the fact that the draft budget that was tabled on the 30th of March was 2023 was not the adjustment, the draft budget. There's a difference between the two. Maybe there's confusion.
I think there is confusion.
Maybe there's confusion. So the draft budget that was tabled on the 30th of March was funded. So the remedial actions, we took note of it. And these comments are for the adjustment budget. And we were mostly aware, and I want to say to highlight what Councillor Kabayes touched on. I was also very disappointed about the grant funding, but also expected, because from the quarterly reports, I repeatedly asked that question in this council meeting about the performance of the grant. So yes, I am waiting and I'm looking forward to that report to come to the Section 80 committee so that we can play our oversight and see what exactly went wrong. But from the quarterly reports, it was very clear that we have a problem. Speaker, with that, I would like to propose that we take note of those.
Executive Mayor is already proposed.
And we accept them. Okay, then I will be the second there. Thank you.
Councillor Mangaba.
Thank you, Speaker. Firstly, I would like to thank you for allowing the council officer to actually remind us that we are playing an oversight role, a role that has been ripped away from us a role that has become somewhat the executive role and not our role. Because I can tell you now, my colleague over the other hand is speaking from a point of privilege, because there was never a session with them where we were granted a chance to look at the adjustment line for line like we did last year. So we need to be careful that in us deliberating in terms of whatever item that is actually sitting at council, that we don't somewhat start dancing in the space of privilege. This information was not granted to us, and we all know that.
You don't need to enforce.
We all know that. But over and above that, we had asked time and time and again, because we could see that the grants are not being tapped into. We asked the accounting office in this council, are you sure we're not going to lose any? Are we ready to spend? Other tenders out there, ready is this and that, and confirmation was given. So my worry is if we are being robbed of information that is actually critical for us to be able to exercise our roles the best way possible, we will surely be faced with a situation where we sit here and be told we will wait the report and they must come explain to us what happened every time. And I appeal through you, Speaker, that if really our role is an oversight role, and if really our role entails us getting detailed information about the runnings of this municipality, but most importantly, service delivery, that information be granted to us before we get to a situation now where we need to handle such results, whereas we're not even involved in the decision making. Yes, we keep saying the council makes the decisions, but we all know which part of the council makes the decisions.
Thank you, councillors. The item has been seconded. We will continue to the next item. Item C, stroke 2, stroke 114, stroke 04, stroke 23. The report on the implementation of the supply chain management policy for the third quarter, 1st January to 31st March 2023. You would find the item on page 94. The item is now serving, page 94. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I propose that we note the report.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam. Sorry, Councillor Mslana.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask something I noticed here that just speak off the cuff. I can't see it now. And I saw something here that there are chemical toilets in the informal settlements. And I saw two, and I was not informed whether there is going to be chemical toilets placed there. I didn't know whether it's municipal chemical toilets or it's a person that just put chemical toilets. I just wanted to check.
Is it in your ward? The Kolweni informal or the Bosnisdorp informal? So you found two chemical toilets without being informed?
Yes.
Let me just ask the director if she wants to respond. Director?
Speaker, may I request that we have been replacing the chemical toilets that were previously provided to the municipality through Moreki. We have a new service provider. Sanitec has been replacing the ones that has been removed. But if the councillor can come in here, I will explain to him whether or not those are ours, but it's highly unlikely that it's not ours. I'm trying to pull up the report that I have received on the chemical toilets, Chair, but if Councillor Mhlana can come and see me after the meeting, I will be able to provide him with the information. I don't want to hold the meeting up.
Are you happy with the answer, Councillor Mhlana?
Yeah, I suppose she doesn't have the information at hand now.
Councillor Nel?
Speaker, I second Councillor Kamkam's proposal.
Seconded by Councillor Nel. Next item. Item C, stroke 2, stroke 116, stroke 04, stroke 23. The section 52 report for the quarter ending March 2023. You would find the item on page 122. Item is now serving. Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Look at this report for the quarter And then think back to the end of 2021, it's encouraging to see that we're moving in the right direction, albeit a bit slowly. If we look, for instance, at the current ratio that is now within the best practices range of between 2 and 3 to 1, we consider that we were at 0.8 in 2021. Shows that there is at least improvement in many of the sectors. One of the areas that is however still worrying is our debt collection. And although we've got measures in place, we're not collecting the money quickly enough in the way we should be, because we still have our collection rate now at 83%, 83.4%. And I believe that the panel of debt collection agents is busy being set up and should be effective from the 1st of May, a panel of 5. And I think that will at least now start getting in a lot of that outstanding money that we need to get in, and also ensure that we get the monies in each month as we need to. The difficulty obviously still remains some of the ESCOM areas where we can't use our normal control measures in terms of municipal accounts and electricity to encourage people to come make arrangements for payments. So those areas still are challenged, but at least with the new service providers, we should start seeing better improved collections, because we dismissed the previous service provider because of non-performance. So for a while, probably a year now, we actually have not had a service provider going around and dealing with accounts that need to be handed over. So other than that glaring area that needs improvement, it's pleasing to see that there are at least some movements in the right direction. It shows that the financial recovery plan is starting to kick in. And with that, then I would like to propose that we go through recommendation.
Proposed by the Executive Mayor. Councillor Nyao.
I will second the mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Nyao. Item C, stroke 2, stroke 117, stroke 04, stroke 23. The environment report for the third quarter ended 31st March 2023. You would find the item on page 237. Item is now serving, page 237. Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm just about some clarification on the report, because the report's for the third quarter, for this last third quarter, but yet I see the items in the register date back to August last year. Is that just other items that were included in as well? And should this only be, the items should they only be considered from the 4th of January to the end of March? I'm just not sure what we need to be looking at on the report, because the report seems to extend further back in the first quarter.
CFO.
Yes, Speaker, sorry, it's a consolidated report of all departments through the year. So just look at the dates from January into March.
Consolidated.
Okay, so
but our focus would be from
the 4th of January. So those are the items focusing on for this report then. So the others have been reported on previously. Thank you, Speaker. With that, I'd like to go with the recommendation then.
Proposed by the Executive Mayor. Seconded by Councillor Olivier. Item C, stroke 2, stroke 118, stroke 04, stroke 23. The list of withdrawals from municipal bank account for the quarter ended 31st March 2023. We would find the item on page 240. Item is now serving. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. I propose that we go with the report.
Councillor Olivier. Proposed by Councillor Kamkam, seconded by Councillor Olivier. Last item under the finance section 2, it is item C, stroke 2, stroke 119, stroke 04, stroke 23, the cost containment report for the quarter ending 31st March 2023. Item is on page 245. Item is now serving. Councillor Kolwapi.
Thank you, Speaker. It is a good practice that we need to save. I wanted to be sure that I'm speaking on the right column. I'm sure it's the 5th column from my left that says savings in page 247. I just want to make sure. Am I speaking? When I took notice, it says use of consultants, and it says we have saved 8.4 million almost there. It is very much impressive that we could save, as we knew that we have been more triggered by the consultants that are being used too much. But I just wanted to know that in the midst that we're saving, are we not compromising service delivery? Are we having the right people at the right places now? That was my concern. Two, I applaud to get the other savings that are taking place. I was also concerned with the traveling and subsistence and domestic accommodation that we could see we couldn't save. Maybe we can even give reasons for that. Again, my eyes were drawn to the saving of almost 757,000 with sponsorship events and catering. It made me to bring the attention of saying, if we save on those things of sponsorship event and catering, I could see that we slowly have compromised the national days. There are no events. Speaker, that we should say we don't have events. In the midst of saving, we should not take away from the people's rights. 16 days of activism last year, I didn't see any thing happening other than the NPOs and the NGOs trying to bring 16 days of activism, but our municipality didn't do a zip about it. Looking, it is only 16th of December that I could see an activity that was happening recorded, and it's not compromised. I don't know whether it's because it's being used. It is always observed on this side of the community. Two, 21st of March, a very prominent date, a rights day, Human Rights Day. We didn't do a zip. It is 27th of April, maybe 2 days that we're going to. No activity that is happening. In the midst of saving, we should not take away people's rights, because these are government days that we need us as a government to observe in the midst of developing the mindset of people. So we should not stifle the democratic activism or suffocate it because we are saving. That was my concern. Two, as we know, this community, it's more represented by underprivileged people. As we can even see in the council, that most councillors are coming from the developing societies, of which we need to go and develop their mindset so that they can be aware of what is democracy is all about. And if we fail them, we are failing still, you know, the generational wealth of our democracy that we need to practice in our societies. Two, I've noticed there's an item we call and other related expenditure items. They were not named, but you could see that we talk about 7 million that we've saved there. It's 7 million, what could it have done? For instance, are we not compromising is service delivery, as we know that UAG spoke about the things that there was a 48% of compromise in our service delivery. So if we talk about the 7 million, what kind of activities that could make such a huge impact of saving there? And if you can look at it, it's a most table that most monies are spent in that table, and we still boast about saving. So my point is is to say, just to remind ourselves as the overseers of our societies that whilst we are saving, we should not take away our people's rights. That was the thing that I wanted just to talk about, and I would love to get the explanation. How do we do this saving? How do we save events and catering? What kind of events and catering was saving at? And even in domestic accommodation and travel and substance, why do we spend over whilst we are still saving so much from other places, from other tables? That was my point. I'm just concerned, Speaker, with this whole report. Thank you.
Councillor Mitchell, I must say the power of women. All our women councillors were speaking the same way.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it's interesting to hear from your side because it's the councillors on starting speaking some here. So yes, I think in terms of what we are talking about, it's also taken into that they are talking the very same language. But there will be explanations on your questions. But I would just like to say the power of a woman in the way they think. Councillor Mitchell?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, also on that block, under the events, I just want to make sure that every time when it comes to our Easter tournament anyway, and there's an issue, year on year on year, there's no playing. When somebody just gives some comment, then municipality runs in a group, they give a date. So they need to hold an Easter tournament on the 27th. Our people is not going to get off this for them. But every time there's official in the youth, I don't know what is it. Year over year, the same date, the same thing. No planning, no nothing. If you don't have planning, what are you doing in that? We need to review this guy first. See what is this guy doing. And every time we speak with it, there's no budget. But when it comes to event in town, the planning is in point, everything is in point when it comes to our township. We can't. You know, the Easter tournament in 27. Can't call it the Easter tournament. If we can't do is planning, if we need a system, then we need to review. We can't handle this guy just as something special or so. We can't struggle a year with this one here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mitchell. MM, a response for Councillor Kolwafe.
Thanks, Chairperson. Speaker, yes, I'll respond to Councillor Kolwafe. After the meeting, celebrate my wife today. Use of consultant, we have to look at the issue of consultant and understand that it is somehow linked to your capital spending. So by the end of the third quarter, it might appear that we've got big savings because our capital programs are running behind. We'll notice normally in a municipality, there's usually a big spending towards June, suddenly June. So it might not be 8 million towards the end of the year. But this table indicates now is what we plan to spend by the end of the third quarter compared to what we have actually spent. So because we are behind with our capital program, so consultant will also be linked, will be linked to that. And also there's part of the review of any requisition that has been done for a work that we're requesting a specific consultant. We collectively as a directors ask the question, is this not part of a job description before we approve that? So that could also be an element of savings in terms of that. Travel and subsistence and domestic accommodation. The challenge here is that the approved budget, somebody must assist me with English, was based on historical information. Your historical information tells you that base you had COVID. Just after COVID, you were attending Sangha meetings virtually. One example, your CFOs forum, you were attending them virtually. It's 4 CFOs from your min-May, and the mayors, and the municipal managers, and you were attending virtually. So the base that you had, was not aligning to when we are out of this situation. That is what actually, what has caused that. But I will report on this in the next Section 80 meeting for specifically per department, per directorate, municipal manager, so that we can see also who's traveling mostly, and we can explain those traveling. I must be honest, the issue of sponsorship and events, when the draft budget was tabled, there was a deliberate attempt to say that we are in cash flow situation. And we've explained this issue, Mayor, again, I hope you understand, we're not bankrupt, we're in cash flow situation. So when you're in cash flow situation, then you have to make a decision, what becomes the priority. But I must say that you are correct in that decision of what becomes a priority. And then the events, which is mainly national events, took a back seat. But we did have some events which were sponsored on a very marginal to be done as the NGOs were doing something and then we contributed that they do that. The Easter tournament that has been mentioned, the issue of planning is a separate issue. There is funding that was made available. But you are right, the national events, the national calendar events didn't take priority because of that situation. I had had a meeting with Duncan 2 weeks ago to say they must attend in George. There's a meeting planned by the Department of Arts, Sports and Culture. But I indicated to them that maybe we should be excused in terms of attending that event. Instead of driving 3 buses to attend in George, they must allow us to do our event. They are doing the event on the 16th and 17th of June. So we are looking around doing our own event on the 16th and 17th. But we have to work because you don't want to duplicate something that is just 45 minutes away from you, so that they can try and see if they cannot fund NISNA and us to have one event, and then they can have one central for the other municipalities there. So you are correct, Councillor, that national events have taken a backseat because in terms of what becomes important. But going forward, we've tried to budget for those events. That should be done. It will only be the issue of planning that needs to be done. Other expenditure includes a lot of items. I don't know if you want to add on CFO, but usually I receive a requisition. The requisition is simple example, and then they say they don't want EK Cafe and Nestle, they want this one. Then we reject those things, and then we say coffee is coffee. It's not about a specific brand that you would want to buy in a municipality. So, but that's marginal. On other expenditure, the CFO will have more details in terms of the savings on those items. But we have been very strict in terms of looking at each and every expenditure before it's approved, the requisition on the system, and it gets paid in terms of that. Unfortunately, this year we had to tighten the belt a little bit, if I would call it that way. And as I stated last year, we have to tighten the belt a little bit just to improve the financial position of the municipality and make sure that we sit at the end of the financial year sufficient reserve that we can put aside for our own capital. That's
I just want to make sure in terms of the hands before Councillor Kolopin, did you propose on the onset and then continue with? Okay. No, I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Councillor Kamkam, your hand is up. No other hand, then Councillor Olafield.
Thank you, Speaker. The concerns of Councillor Kowapi is noted, and it's basically all of us feel that way, but unfortunately, we are in difficult times. I mean, we need to pay our cash flow better. We have adopted a financial recovery plan, and hopefully things will get better, but as the MMS also alluded to, just the fact that our collection rate also seems to not improve, that also put us in a very difficult situation. So at this point in time, I must say a saving is a blessing. It's a blessing, a saving. Councillor Kowapi, and hopefully in future things will get better, and we can get back to the communities and do the part that all of us like to do. With that, Speaker, I propose that we note the report. Thank you.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam. Councillor Olafield. Seconded by Councillor Olafield. Next section, section 3. Corporate service. First item is item C, stroke 3, stroke 96, stroke 04, stroke 23. The customer care section report for the period of February 1st February to 31st March 2023. Would find the item on page 249. The item is now serving. Councillor Koloapi, Councillor Kamkam.
To start with the 249 and those recommendations, we hear that there's a beautiful position, a senior officer intergovernmental relations, that is in hand to play. And I think that position, it will help us in these intergovernmental strategies so that we should not have an excuse of a budget in this council for our government national days. There are places where funds are being asked from in order we should not compromise our government national days. I so hope that in the job description of that senior officer, it should be included entirely that we need the budget of that. Firstly,
Councillor Kolopi, sorry. We are now on corporate service customer care.
yes, I'm reading exactly page 249. I'm there.
You clearly have not been reading your notes.
I'm there, page 249.
That's very.
I'm at corporate.
Read your notes, ma'am.
On the HR resource implications.
Yeah, first point.
Okay, no, I'm seeing it, it's under the human resource implications.
Yeah.
Page 249. I also want to go to page 258. Can I be allowed to talk under corporate services? Whatever issues I want to deliberate
on the floor, as long as it's with the item.
Yeah, so 249, it was about that position exactly, IGR. We're lacking the fundraising of the national days because we don't have that position in the job description. We need to do, because it's the same person who must link with the government in order we get the funds, so that we should never make this an excuse, the cash flow when it comes to people's rights as government as we are. Page 258, we talk about e-transfers there. I was concerned there are two individuals that were included in the disciplinary petrol saga that are transferred to another department. Will that not compromise the whole petrol saga thing and the discipline that we're still dealing with? When we transfer them from these departments, they are placed to other departments. That was my question. Then I was also questioning, we see that Miss Reed is being placed in a place called individual performance management, as we're talking about transfers at page 258. We're still there, Mos. So I wanted to know, what is that position all about?
Sorry, Councillor Klala?
Nel, so 258.
Sorry, agree with you now?
Oh, we enter 253. Oh,
The councillor asked, we have to make it.
I did ask, but can I deliberate on all things of corporate services? I don't speak about yes. I didn't do it myself.
Can we, okay, my apology.
So I think the speaker didn't hear that. But she asked for, she wanted to talk to all the items.
It's
That's why
this
you have to
one
break
needs
it up.
talking, stick this one and finish it. I've got one power.
Yes. Speaker, man, I'm trying to, must stop. Do you see this thing of talking underneath when people is talking?
You want to memorize.
Yeah. And then on top of the order, councillors, we have order. Every time I must go back now. Party leader, you will get your chance. Don't worry. You was there, you failed. My time now. Let me continue and make mistakes. At least I didn't make the mistakes you made, councillor. I'm learning. You are old hand, you made big mistakes. Can we continue? Councillor Kolwapi, you have the floor. Don't make the mistakes the previous people made, please.
We're done with that item.
No, we are on the.
No, the main item, at page 249 is that IGR department position. Please let it be a right person. We should never have to suffer fundraising here. Please.
Councillor, your time is up on that item. Minutes is done. It was Councillor Kolwapi. I just want to make sure, was it Councillor Mitchell? It wasn't. Then the executive mayor was third.
Councillor, did you not note that?
Councillor come and then the executive mayor. I just wanted to make sure he's in.
Speaker, must I borrow you my specs?
No, I'm noting you.
Okay.
I just wanted to say the hands. Councillor Kamkam, then the executive mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I note in the report that they are busy or making progress on the issue of the integration of the call center, and that we will get a report by May. Because that issue always come up in our portfolio meeting, the integration of the call centers, 2 call centers. We definitely can expect that report in May. Are we sure? I see the enemy shaking.
Yes, yes.
No, we'll get the report in May, but that we understand by the 20% that they want to advise council that the decision that has taken is to be rescinded. So I'm also waiting. I've not seen the report and the reasons why. So I think I also get the report by I was made aware 2 weeks ago that they are busy. They want to request council to rescind the decision, but it's not going to. Until I receive the report, I studied it and I understand why the decision first was taken. Why was the item first submitted? Because that item was not reviewed by a councillor. So that's my issue that I'm having. So I'm waiting for that.
Happy, Councillor Kamkam?
Yes, I'm happy, Speaker. I would recommend that we note the report.
Who's the executive mayor, Councillor Mangaba, then Councillor Mhlana?
Thank you, Speaker. As with all reports, the report tells us what is being done, and hopefully the trends that have been picked up from the complaints we get are being noted to identify areas we need to improve on, especially with service delivery items. So it's commendable to note that the outstanding or that the amount of calls that have been closed are very high, which shows that we're dealing with them. I just would like clarification on what happens when it's closed, because all these emanate from consumers that are raising concerns for e-service issues. And also recently in January introduced an app to make it easier for our residents to identify and report problems. But where are we in the loop in terms of notifying the people reporting these issues and advising them that these issues that they've raised have been dealt with? Because I've been using the app as well since it came out in January, and I've got at least 12 incidents that I've reported. I've not yet received one notification that it's been dealt with, other than that the call's been logged, nor that it's been closed at all, and that the complaint has been suitably dealt with. So we're showing that it's closed off and done, but the loop's not been closed to the person that's reporting it. And as far as we're concerned, a lot of people don't realize that their complaints have been attended. That should be part of what we're doing in customer care, is getting back to people to let them know that what they've reported has been dealt with suitably, and they can then assess whether that is the case. So that's just my concern. We're showing a high closure rate, but I don't think we're getting back to our public on this, and we're not communicating. And with that, I would like to second that.
Thank you. Can I just first give to the councillors? And then I will. Councillor Mangaba, then Councillor Mhlana.
Thank you, Speaker. Let's just zoom into page 253. Looking at the customer satisfaction survey that's there, I think there's actually about 10 calls, right? Or 10 results of the survey, which is out of a sample of 10, only 6 were satisfied. That should tell you, in as much as that is positive, it is not where we ought to be as a municipality. I mean, that is a customer services section which should serve as a pacifier to whoever calls. I find that half the time I'm bombarded with text and calls from the community that please make this call, because maybe once you make that call, at least they'll attend to you. We do not want to maintain such a culture as this municipality. We know we have an issue, and especially in these old phases, phase 1 and phase 2, with regards to, and phase 3, right, with regards to our old infrastructure. That results into us actually logging calls literally every day for drain spillages and all of that. Now it's actually so distasteful and rather inhumane that we would get reports from the community that a call has been logged over 10 times, and the response was the child is on its way. To a point, families were sitting on feces up until the following day when I contacted the accounting officer of the municipality. We can't be operating like that. Understand that our infrastructure needs upgrade, and we're working towards that. But in the interim, the only saving grace is these calls being handled right and being passed to the rightful people to do their job. And then again, with regards to what my colleague has just raised here about the consolidation of the contact center, there's a reason why in 2018 in October, that item was brought to council. And if there were issues then, it could have been raised. Come on, this is consolidating a contact center to be one. It's not opening a science lab where we'll be actually creating humans out of feces. It's a contact center just to ensure that we have a centralized approach in communication, and that we are able to actually train our staff such that we are able to operate as a solid contact center. This is not something that's never been done. If it means our officials need to visit other municipalities and study best practice by all means, for me, it does not make sense. In fact, it is nonsensical, and it is further undermining this council. That decisions are made, and then later on they're rescinded. I mean, in the no organogram, we were speaking to that as well. Now, does it mean that we need to scrape everything that we've planned because of two officials who are unable to come together as one for the better of the institution as well as the community? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Let me just finish with Councillor Mhlana, and then are you covered? Okay.
I'm good at all.
Mr. Namtu, then the MM, and then we will continue.
Okay, so thanks, Speaker. Good morning, every councillor official. The issue relating to what do we do after we close the call. When the customer lodges a complaint, they get an SMS with a reference number. Now, when that call is closed, automatically they are supposed to be getting an SMS that says the call has been closed. Once it's closed, they get an SMS that says the call that you have logged has been closed. Now, if that doesn't happen, then we need to investigate that. Then secondly, around the issue pertaining to the app. We introduced the app. It was prematurely put to the public whilst on a testing phase. And then when that happened, people logged calls. And the system was not yet properly in place because our service provider was still putting things into place. We had a meeting with them last week. They indicated to us they have now been able to allocate, because we gave them a list of contact people that they need to allocate the calls that have been logged. That has now been done. Starting from last week, there is supposed to be movement in terms of the calls that had previously been logged on the app. So because there was a premature announcement to the public that was made, then people reacted to that, whereas the system was not yet 100% resolved. So that was basically what happened to the app. But I've been given the assurance that as from last week, things are supposed to be moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Namtu. MM, and then we continue.
Thanks.
Interfere.
On
and celebrate my wife's birthday later on, so I want to be in the right mood. But let me be on the defense of Mr. Namtu with regard to Annexure A, bring in context. So what the administration through Manager Namtu did with Annexure A, which is a customer satisfaction survey, is to say, let's stop looking inward. Because if you look at the report, it says we're performing these things, and as the mayor has said, that we are saying we've got a high number of incidents of a report that we have reported which we have closed. But there's that loop in terms of reporting back, which he has touched on. But he went further to say, instead of looking inward, let's do this survey and hear from the community, how are they feeling? And this is just the results of that process, because the reason is doing that, or the reason administration is doing that. In fact, the reason is Mr. Namtu doing that, what credit must go to him, is precisely to understand, is the community satisfied in terms of how we relate to them? And that result has actually came now. So this result gives him an opportunity to know where to improve. So it cannot be nonsensical, Chair, although I'm trying to be in the right mood, that he is trying to reflect inward to see what is it that we are doing if we think we are performing internally. To our community also before believing that we are performing. And the community has reflected now 6 out of 10 as the councillor have said to say that we are not doing very well. So it's for him now to put measures to improve that, and that is how you reflect in terms of performance management. That is how you reflect in terms of improving. So I must apologize on his behalf and on behalf of administration if we've done this customer survey to gauge the community understanding that we're doing nonsense. I sincerely apologize. But for us, it was ready to reflect on the situation to understand how is the community feeling. And that must be commended because he has done that situation to make sure that there is that interaction with the community. So I have to come into his defense in that matter, Chairperson. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, just to remind you, you have had your 5 minutes on this item. Next item, item C, stroke 3, stroke 97, stroke 04, stroke 23. The Human Resource Management Division quarterly report for the period 1st January 2023 until 31st March 2023. The item is on page 254. The item is now serving, page 254. The item is now serving. Councillor Kolwape.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me start on 255, for where we acknowledge 31 people permanently employed. Thank you for that one. Ensure that we don't just use our people and raise expectations, and after that, we dump them. So thank you for that 31. There was a resign. I wanted to know, when people are resigning, a procedure that we take to ensure that our people with the right mind, especially most we don't have our occupational, what is this thing? Well, occupational health and safety person. Yeah. And I didn't hear that we've got the industrial psychologist in our department, in our system. So do we really go and check why people are resigning? As we know that people sometimes they become in certain matters and push them to resign. So the 6 that have we resigned, do we have proper reasons for them? I don't know what are proper reasons. I just want to know. Then at page 257, there's a retirement of an occupational health and safety person. That position, Speaker, through you going to MM, it was a loud outcry that came from APEC that we need to find the right person at the right position there. Because at some stage, we find our workers, they have a problem of wellness or they lose in morale. And you can see that it's our hot position that needs to deal with the people there. And if you look also 271 to 272 pages, Mr. Speaker, you will find that there are a lot of IODs, injury on duties, and of which of having those kind of things, it attests that we need to have the right person at the right place. As we
Councillors, can I ask, it's It's not only the first time now, it's continuously happening every time Councillor Konwap is speaking. You two are having a conversation amongst each other. And we ask that we respect the speaker on the floor, please. I'm asking you. It has been happening now almost the whole morning.
You are out of order, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Konwap, we continue. I'm just asking you in a nice way.
So at page 257, as we're having that retirement, have we prepared ourselves to put a right person at the right place? And how long will it take? Because we've already been compromised anyway, because things that were revealed at APEC, it showed that all this time, the past 2 years, this department, this institution has been compromised when it comes to that, because it led to a performance that was very less and not right in the municipality. Going to page 258, as I was asking, we've got the people there that they were in the petrol saga, and now they are transferred to other departments. Does it affect the petrol saga, or is it one of the ways of sorting them not to come to book their cases? Let's go to page 260. I've got a concern, leave being still a challenge in our municipality, especially on January. I don't know how should we make, because we're parents, né? We have to take our kids to school and all those things. But is there no other way that we can ensure that we can't have a reflection of like that? All departments, and it was something like 1,100 leave that we recorded on January. It was very bad, 1,166, if I'm not mistaken. 1,164. It is very much bad to reflect that kind of figure.
Excuse me.
And again, the unfair labor practice in page 269, that is a bad reflection. And it means that senior administrators, managers of senior administrators will find that maybe they are affected in that. And it's still, to get that kind of defamation of character, that we see emotional abuse of people at work. Those things are not nice to be recorded here. So it's another thing that I'm appealing to our senior staff, through you, Speaker, to our MM. Those things, they don't reflect a beautiful thing in our report. The unfair labor practice, defamation of characters, emotional abuse, all those kind of things. And if you look page from 269, you can see a lot of records of that. I'm standing here appealing that let the people be treated well at the workplace. Thank you. Oh, the last one, Speaker, page 274, update, please, in those learnership. I can still see that my daughter was doing a national certificate filming and TV still in the list, while she left as early as November. She's still in the list up to now in March. A right update of those learnership people that have dropped, please. Yes, Noyolo Kolop is still in the list.
Quick, Speaker, starting with the first one.
The exit interviews.
Exit interviews, yeah, because the councillor has just looked at the appointments. The exit interviews are being done in the municipality for all people who have resigned. We ask them to do exit interviews and understand what are the reasons. It has already been implemented since September last year. Additionally to that, I have appointed somebody who's got a degree in industrial psychology, also to deal with these issues of unhappiness of workers at work, because I have dealt with issues that sometimes are so sensitive that I felt as a municipal manager I should not be dealing with. Her surname is Dau. I think she's from Kranzu. Is a sister of Moses Dau, working at IT. We've appointed her. She's busy speaking to quite a number of staff internally, providing counseling. She's arranging, I think it's on the 8th of May or the 9th of May, somewhere in May, a wellness day for all municipal staff with the banks, the 3 banks that have confirmed, the insurance companies, typical old mutuals, and everyone else. What she has assessed so far is financial troubles is one of the key issues that is causing stress to staff and causing absenteeism, and also abuse of alcohol, unhappiness at workplace, as you have highlighted, is one of the reasons. So we're bringing all these people, expect to speak to them and also to try and guide them in terms of budgeting, in terms of their finances, so that we try and assist them to budget. So that position would be a permanent position soon in future in the HR structure. The issue of retirements, the matter was raised by APEC, you are correct. What we have done for now, we have taken the person that was in that position with the qualification, brought him back temporarily. I don't think the position, advertise the position, make sure that a suitable match is appointed in that position. With regard to the people that have been transferred, implicated in petrol, these were not necessarily looked at in that way. There were temporary issues of working relations or interference with witnesses while the case is ongoing. Then we had to transfer one manager, for example, without mentioning their name, so that at least all the issues of the case are resolved and then the person can go back in that. And the other one was just the issue of a temporary solution with the working relations in relation to the HR. So those are the people, but it's not affecting the ongoing. I must state the investigation is ongoing. The police and the rest of other people, not only the one person in their investigation. Last week, people were supposed to have had interviews with the police. Unfortunately, they booked sick. The police didn't inform me that, if it continues, they will then use other means. They've informed me what is other means. It means even going to your doctor and going to your hospital to interview you. So they've allowed that those people who booked sick last week and they were not interviewed. That case is ongoing at the police services. On our side, yes, we've got challenges, but it's continuing. And then on the issue of, I think I've covered the issue of the staff, unhappiness, Councillor Kola, through your speaker. Appointed somebody was something that I picked up in the institution. Because I'm spending most of my time with people who are waiting at 4:30 here to say, we want to see you. I have been appointed as a general worker, but I've been driving a truck for 4 years. I've never been paid. So those labor relations issues, those are the matters that we have addressed in terms of unhappiness, but some of them have been addressed. And some settlements have been done with the bargaining council in terms of these matters. But we are looking, we've got somebody that is dedicated at HR. There was a question about the issue of Audrey working at HR. So if you understand, the council adopted performance management, and there's an organizational performance management, which is in my office. Then there's individual performance management, which is the management of performance management from lower level staff up until to T13. And then T14 managers above and the directors is under my office. So you have to have those who have attended the workshop by Dr. Yankis, who left the Mosul Bay. You have to have somebody at HR that deals with individual performance. So that is the position that is created in the structure, which was not necessarily there. So what I have done, because we have to comply by 1st of July, I've looked at internally, and internally then I have identified Audrey as a person that must assist in terms of that. So it's a temporary arrangement. There could be other people that can apply when the position becomes vacant. So that is a decision that was made by myself to have Audrey in that position.
Thank you, MM. I only had Councillor Polo up his hand. The item is still serving. Councillor Mankhaba.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you for an elaborate report. Yes, Councillor Kolapi highlighted one part of it that actually needs updating. Beyond that, I think it's very much informative. However, I'd like to believe I it came to my attention that there's actually training that is actually being granted to a certain group of staff for learners and driver's license. I was hoping to find it here, so that then I may be able to actually delve into who are the people that are actually in that group, and what is it that actually motivated or rather influenced that learning, and what's the cost implication to the municipality and overhead that is driving included in their JDs, or if it was at vacancy advertising level. And how is it that they actually got into those positions without, or if it's an add-on to the JD? Just to get a bit of that intricacy in terms of the information. However, I'm unable to actually entertain that now, as it would be irrelevant because it's actually not contained in the report. So I urge and ask that in our next report, that be included if that is actually really happening in the grounds, so that we are able to delve into and understand exactly what is it about. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I don't think you should.
Now, can I ask Speaker to advise so that we are procedurally correct? The councillor is correct to saying it's not in the item now, but can I ask the councillor to raise the matter to you in the motions of questions, so that is recorded, because administration won't be able to record this now. This is not related to the item. So in the motions of questions, the councillor is allowed to ask that as a verbal motion, so that it's recorded.
Item is still serving, councillors. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I propose that we take note of the report.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam. Councillor Olivier.
Seconded.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Manaba. That's for section 3. Continuing to section 4, community services. First item, it's item C, stroke 4, stroke 77, stroke 04, stroke 23. The renaming of the played rugby field. You would find the item on page 278. The item is now serving, page 278. Councillor Mhlana.
I must say, we deliberated on this issue, on this item, in the portfolio committee meeting. And we requested that there should be an annexure that from the sports hub requesting the renaming of the sports field, because it can't be willy-nilly changing names of facilities. But I must just say, once again, I'm so very disappointed with what I'm seeing.
Isn't your request page 282?
I will say this, High Meloni Sports Hub request to change the name of the rugby field. Maybe we're not really taken serious. I don't think. Seriously. Yeah, it's supposed to be something concrete, motivation, not just an informal thing like this.
I think if we, just want to make sure, I think through the role as the secretary of the Sport Hub, she used this mail. There's attachment, page 280 and 281. Is that in line, Director, with the email?
I say that, Speaker, those are minutes. Looks like minutes.
Of the meeting. Which led to the request of the letter on page 282. I just want to make sure from the Director, Councillor Mhlana. Director?
Speaker, yes, through you, that is correct. The email was sent to us together with the minutes, but there was a formal meeting with the Sport Hub. The Plate Central Sport Hub, where this request was made, and the minutes of that meeting is attached.
On page 280.
Just via email, it was a formal meeting that we held with the Youth and Sports Coordinator, Community Services, and the entire hub was present.
As I'm seeing here, because the meeting was on 16 January and the mail was sent on the 17th of January.
Just to take you back, a request was made here by Nkwano Butula to make use of an open space there. That request was a request that are really represented, taking us very serious. We are an institution. We can't just get a communication of this sort. If a need that the sports hub be assisted, they must be assisted in writing. They can't just send us a 2-line like this and say they request to change their name. I mean, changing the name, it's a serious thing. It's not just.
Heritage, history.
Yeah.
I'll give you, I just want to give to the deputy mayor.
Okay, Speaker, I think I will say the same as all Councillor Mhlana, because this has been discussed in our portfolio meeting. And the day we were discussing this item, we were serious. So we thought maybe today when we come into council, the report that will be present in front of us will also be serious, because we asked that day, when we are changing the names, who was present, who other sport bodies were present and submit their claims that they want to change the name of the sport club. So there was also some explanations that we were not satisfied of, and that is the reason we have asked that when it comes to council, there must be that annexation. But now to be given such emails, like it was between two people, and we must just assume that there was a meeting that was held between the sport and the youth and whatever. But on paper, we don't see those things that we asked for. So every time when we came to council, we asked the officials to take us serious. This is an institution, and they are dealing with people that are presenting the communities. So when we go back to the communities, we must report a concrete thing. We must not say, no, we are assuming maybe. So if we want answers, they must give us clear answers, so that we are not mumbling when we were speaking to the communities. So still this report, it's a disrespect to the portfolio committee that was asking this to come formally to us. So I am going with all Councillor Mhlana, so.
Can I first give the councillors and then to you? Councillor Nyal, Councillor Ndai.
Speaker, listening to the other speakers on this, it appears to me that the correct action would be bring this back to the item back.
Councillor Nyal request that we refer the item back to the administration. Councillor Ndai.
Okay, I'm covered with Councillor Nell. Then therefore, I can see the speaker that the members were present, they were typed. I would love also to add the register, please, that have been signed by the people. Thank you.
Executive Mayor.
Second, that goes back. Councillor Nell proposed.
So the item is being referred back. Amen. You're standing with it?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's been proposed by Councillor Nyal and seconded by the Executive Mayor that the item be referred back to the administration. Add more context to the bone. Next item under Section 4 Community Service. It is item C/4/78/04/23. The Adopt a Park program on page 283. The item is now serving. Deputy Mayor.
Speaker, this is a good program for our communities. So for that reason, I will go with the recommendations, and where they say the parks and recreation section will provide with rubbish bags, please, they must do so that our parks can be kept clean. It must not matter if we need the bags, then there's no official who went and dropped the bags and whatever. So please, they must also keep their words that they will provide bags so that our parks can be clean. But I think this is a good program for our communities. I go with the recommendations.
Councillor Ndai.
Yes, Speaker, also raise all the questions
The safety on our portfolio speak. The director did promise us there will be safety, and the communities must also help us with the safety. Thank you.
Councillor Ndai, Councillor Tlapai.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we are councillors here and we must play our oversight role, and also we must be thinkers. This program of Adopt a Park, it's a program that has been created because a municipality is selling its own pieces of land. Now, immediately after that, the backlash, we are councillors and we hear all these things, we read about these things on social media. Immediately after that, there is an item that comes to council about adopting a park. There is hypocrisy here because there are properties that were sold. For instance, in New Horizon, the flats in New Horizon. Now the municipality also wants to sell its properties, that is parks, in town. There is an item that crops up from nowhere. It says adopt a park. This is a coup d'etat. This is really a coup d'etat. These councillors sitting here, I can tell you now, they are taking over pieces of land that are belonging to the municipality. And this adopt a program is going to open a can of worms. What if all these wards start to say, we are 10 people, we want to adopt that piece of land? Every open piece of land. What are we going to do? Because this adopt a park emanates from when the municipality wants to sell a property of its own property in town. And there's a hula baloo about that. They were quiet when the properties in New Horizon were being sold. Now it's a park. They want to adopt a park. You will think. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. We want to continue. Section 5, engineering services. First item is item C, stroke 5, stroke 61, stroke 04, stroke 23. The monthly and quarterly report for electrical and mechanical for the period January to March 2023. You would find the item on page 286. Item is now serving.
I note that something that has been discussed earlier when there was discussion around the adjustment budget, a sharp increase in overtime within the pump station section due to overtime, due to load shedding. And this is just showing some of the costs, and also I note the mention of the theft and vandalism, and the report that's on page 295, that shows where we've had vandalism and theft. What I'd like to see in the report, if there could be a monetary value put to it, so that at least it gives us an idea of what this is actually costing us, and then also something put in place to show us what we're doing to try to prevent the ongoing vandalism that we're experiencing. So I think it's important that we include this in our report. I'd also like to see in the report what we are doing to mitigate against load shedding and to reduce the impact as far as possible on the residents in Bitou, and where we have generators at key areas, that at least we can let everyone know what we are doing to make sure that essential services can run as far as possible. I think coming also from the discussion earlier, areas in the municipality that cannot function when there's load shedding, we need to look at especially the service delivery oriented ones that Councillor Gabai mentioned earlier. So we need to ensure that at least during load shedding, during the daytime hours, we can deal with our normal day-to-day business, and that we can keep as many of our services functioning as possible, especially with regards to water and sanitation. So I think we can get some added information into these reports that make them more useful and make them a tool that we can work with to plan from. Thank you. With that, I propose that we go to the closed session.
Deputy Mayor,
Second, Speaker.
seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Councillor Kamka.
Oh, the item is closed now, speakers. I reserve my comments.
Next item, it's item C, /5/64/04/23. The Capital Projects Implementation Plan Progress Report for period ending March 2023. You would find the item on page 299. The item is now serving. Page 299. Councillor Ndai,
Mr. Speaker, we go with the recommendations given.
proposed by Councillor Ndai. Deputy Mayor,
Second, Speaker.
seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Next item, item C, /5/65/04/23. The Roads Transport and Stormwater Operational Plan report for January and February and March 2023. You would find the item on page 305. The item is now serving, page 305. Deputy Mayor, then Councillor Kamkam.
Speaker, I propose to go with the recommendations.
Proposed by the Deputy Mayor. Seconded by Councillor Kamkam. Right, we're done with engineering, section 5. Section 6, economic development and planning. First item, it's item C/6/78/04/23. The Plet Tourism Quarter Report, October till December 2022, and monthly report for January 23. You would find the item on page 319. Item is now serving. Councillor Mangaba, Councillor Nell, Councillor Mitchell.
Thank you, Speaker. Mine is first a clarity seeking question, then from there I can actually do a follow-up. Is there a reason why we are sitting with a report that is for October, November, December in April?
First question. Remember, there's a question. Director, there's a question on the floor.
I think these reports did serve now recently, and they were just for completeness sake, we're putting them to council.
What's the answer?
The reports did serve recently, so we're just putting them through for completeness sake. But I think these reports did serve in March.
Confirmation, you're saying this report was brought to council in March?
I'll have to check and find out, but yeah, I don't know why there was some overlap or duplication of these reports.
Yes, Speaker, the reason why I'm asking this question is when we sit at council, especially for reports, we are not here to actually pick on the holes. We're not here to make a certain department or a certain person representing such a department feel terrible. But as part of our oversight role, it is to ensure that whatever we are able to actually note what's done right, and we reinforce that. And whatever is not done right, or whatever is a lack thereof, we are able to communicate it timelessly so that we are able to see the results. We don't just sit and read the reports just to kill time, but we are hoping to add value in this municipality and the people we're servicing. Question again, what sense does it make that we are sitting in April discussing a report for October, November, December. This pushes out a report that we are supposed to be sitting with now, which is your January, February, and March. Meaning, in the next council meeting, we'll be actually dealing with a report that is actually not meant to be tabled, because what can we improve from the report that I actually brought 2 quarters later? That's essentially the reason why I'm asking.
Speaker, take note what the councillor is saying. The report was late. Interaction with Tanya. Part of the problem is that we cannot continue to accept late reports because they create addendums and addendums. So this report supposed to have served in March, as the councillor said, is correct. Supposed to have served at least in February, because it's a month after that, giving the user department in January month to do the report. However, the report was late, and we could not accept the report at that time. So the earliest that it could come to council is now. The report was late, and I could not agree in terms of taking another addendum that must actually go in the previous council meeting, because it creates a situation that councillors get to be sitting with a lot of files lying all over. So I take note what the councillor is saying in terms of that.
Thanks, Amen. Councillor? Happy? Sorry, no, Councillor. It's Councillor now, then you.
Speaker, while I concur with the previous speakers on the lateness of the report, I must say that it is one of the better reports from the tourism that I've seen. It gives comprehensive coverage to the financial positions and all the different activities, and I think it is the type of report we would like to see in future when it comes to tourism. And therefore, I concur that it should not have been so late, but I think we should take note of this report and take it for what it is. It is a report. Thank you, Speaker.
Are you proposing?
I'm proposing that we take note of the report.
Councillor Mitchell, then Councillor Kamkam.
Yeah, I just want to find out what is the reason that this council can't go out of tender. And I really want to be answered to the what reason is there that this can't go out of tender? Because same company, same people, people is not benefiting from this. I can tell you finally, they're just getting the transport, the cake, all in that restaurants, but there's no company that has stuff with them. Shares. Our people is not holding shares in companies. So what is the reason that this can't go on the tender, or is there no other body that can award this, can be awarded them?
Amen.
Speaker, the council has already resolved on the matter, so I will ask administration to if the council, it happened before it became a council, with the council in terms of instead of responding directly to the question, what could be the reason not going out on tender? It will be wrong, because there's nobody that has given any reason to say we should not be going out on tender. So it is slightly being councillor came a little bit late because council has already resolved. The matter is on tender, so
the matter is
council has already resolved. Because so let's brief the councillor. All the councillors that are sitting here resolved the matter, so we'll brief the councillor in terms of that whole process. So it's not that the question, the way he's putting it out, what's the reason that we not go out on tender? Council has already resolved to do that process.
Okay. Councillor, do you wish to have after council a report or being taken through? Because we have by the resolution for this matter. Thank you very much. We will inform you on that matter straight after council. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, on various occasions, we were not happy with the previous reports, and we know that this one is a bit late, but it seems to have a bit more information. So with that, I will second the proposal.
Seconded by Councillor Kamkam. Next item, item C, stroke 6, stroke by 2, stroke 04, stroke 23, the renaming of certain streets in Kirland. You would find the item on page 355. Item is now serving, page 355. Councillor Kamkam?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this is just to the common names or the names that are currently in use. And also the municipality has put the signage on, as you can see, there's a one column name reflected on the GP currently. Most of those names are not in use, they've never been in use. We even don't know how they were registered. And then change to, you will see there's a second column, Bloem Street, Baron Street, Flower Street. All of those streets are currently in use in Canon. There's signage on, the board names is on, everybody knows the street names. We have gone through the public participation, we've consulted with the ward committee, so it's just to consolidate. I propose that we accept the proposal.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Olivier. Seconded by Councillor Olivier. Next item, item C, stroke 6, stroke 84, stroke 04, stroke 23. The operational management plan for Central Beach Public Lawn Site. You would find the item on page 360. The item is now serving. Councillor Nel.
Speaker, thank you. I propose that we take note of this report, and I also want to make use of this opportunity to thank the Ratepayers Association for the valuable contributions they made during the public participation phase of this process. Many of their proposals were considered and also introduced into this thing. So with that, I propose that we take note of it.
Proposed by Councillor Nel. Councillor Olivier. Seconded by Councillor Olivier. Item C, stroke 8, stroke 6, stroke 85, stroke 04, stroke 23. The proposed acquisition of portion of ERF 2426 by Sunrail to facilitate the construction of a circle at the N2, the Beacon Way intersection. You would find the item on page 406. The item is now serving. Executive Mayor, Councillor Nel.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd ask that there are no delays in this, please. This intersection on the N2 has become more and more of a problem with passing year. And even so much that it's almost a daily problem, especially on school day, that there's a massive traffic build up there. And it puts a strain on municipal resources in terms of traffic officers to be there on a regular basis. So it would definitely, if we can expedite this, definitely improve traffic flows in the area, especially when it comes to busy times in season, Easter, December. And it will also assist with deployment of municipal resources in the season plan. I would like to recommend that we go with this proposal and expedite this as quickly as possible. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Nel.
I would second this, the Mayor.
Item is seconded by Councillor Nel. Next item, item C, stroke 6, stroke 90, stroke 04, stroke 23. The Vukupile Learnership Program, the adoption and memorandum of agreement. The item is on page 415. The item is now serving. Councillor Nel.
Speaker, I propose that we go with the recommendation.
Councillor Mitchell. Seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Next item, item C, stroke 6, stroke 91, stroke 04, stroke 23. The plat matric rate report. Item is on page 420. The item is now serving. Councillor Nel, Councillor Olivier.
Speaker, I am pleased to ask that we take a note of this report. It's pleasing to see that at last we have a timeless address of this great difficult issue that we have every year, and every year it repeats itself. Hopefully this preliminary report leads to an early final plan as well, so that we can have a proper introduction of this matric range without all the ramifications that we experience every year. So that I recommend that we go with the recommendation. Take note of the report.
Thank you, Councillor Nel.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'm going to repeat a little bit of what Councillor Nel said, but because the situation happened in Ward 7, they were looking for a venue in Ward 6, it was not a very good reason. And then the venue ended up being in Jackal's Kraal, which is also a vested community interest to me. It created a big challenge for us. We appreciate the range and we appreciate that it comes to this town and that it creates the hype and the jobs around it that it does. We do that. But that rate has been going for such a long time and it was really, really difficult for me as a councillor in last year because of the timing. I do not understand how we can have such a big event and they start looking for a venue in August. So that is a challenge and I really am hoping, well, I'm not hoping, I'm saying that this venue will be identified far ahead of time so that we don't have the same issues. I know the Pledge Rage was looking for the space for 5 years, for a period of 5 years. We as a municipality do have to put our heads together to assist this signal, the Pledge Rage, so that we can assist, so we can have proper venues and everything else in place in time. And with that, I second.
Seconded by Councillor Olivier. Thank you, Councillor Olivier. I think that's it for the order of business for the portfolio of index. All items has been covered. No addendum. No. I discussed that with the in committee minutes. Yes, we will go to point 11. Urgent matters submitted by the municipal manager. None. 12. Consideration of notices of motion. Received none. Consideration of motions of exigency. Received none. We will now go into in committee. We will allow a 10-minute break to prepare, or 5 minutes. You don't want to, it's ready. Can we please excuse the public? Managers, please make sure that